Good morning, fellow traders. It's Black Coffee Trader, and it is Friday morning, March the 6th. And I have not done a daily trade plan, actually, I don't think since maybe Monday or Tuesday. So the last several days, I didn't trade on Wednesday, but the last several days I've just, due to the other commitments, I have not had time to do a morning trade plan and really do much of a market analysis, which I don't know, may or may not have contributed to the trading that I've had this week. It's been a pretty bad week, but this morning I was able to spend some time looking at the charts, making some adjustments. I did a lot of work on 4-hour time frames, and so let's just dive in. I think the big theme that I see this morning across the indices is yesterday's low of day. That's the big one, and I think that's where I am seeing opportunity this morning. It's one thing to see opportunity. It's another thing to have the market actually give you that move, and then it's another thing to actually trade it successfully. But hey, that's what we're here for. So let's dive in. So I'm going to actually jump to the 15-minute chart. I think I'm going to be able to spell out a little bit more easily what I'm looking at on the 15. So on the NASDAQ on the 15, here's yesterday's low of day. Here is what day is this? This is the Wednesday low of day. So you have the last couple of days lows sitting right here, and you've got a recent high. So we broke structure, and we have been above structure, bounced off of this yesterday, but then in the overnight we've rejected around these highs. The opportunity, in my opinion, what I like to see is if we lose this, do we get an opportunity to the downside, turning these highs or these lows into new highs and going right back to this structure here? Does that give us the opportunity that we're looking for? We do have the daily 200 moving average sitting right below price, so maybe it's a wait and see approach to see if we break through that area and then we get the big downside move that we're looking for. So that's probably the biggest move and area I'm really watching for is what happens around the last couple of days lows on NQ. If we hold this, do we get a reclaim of this area above, right around the 25,000s? Do we reclaim that area for further upside, or maybe break the high of the last couple of days and we see further upside there? So that's the picture I'm looking at on the NASDAQ. Fairly clean. The question is just, do we break that or not? Do we reclaim some of these levels and push up to new highs? ES, similar picture. If I look at the big, I'm going to leave that. We'll move on. ES on the 15 as well. Pretty much the same picture. So we have these lows coming from, this is, let's see, I got to think. Today is Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday overnight lows. We have that, and we bounced off of that exact low yesterday, so that made our new low, or our yesterday's low of day. And again, we're flirting with this. If we do break that structure, I think that gives us a nice downside move on ES. That's probably a pretty clean look if we can get it. If we hold that and we do not break that structure, do we go back up? And I'm looking at this area from Tuesday. Do we break that Tuesday high, which is also the overnight rejection that we had in the overnight? Now, again, I think this is a bearish play. We broke and we tested the Tuesday night lows, and then we rejected off the Tuesday highs. And so we really, in yesterday's range and the overnight range, we've really went through the Tuesday move, and now we're seeing further downside off that. So to me, this really looks like a bearish setup. And do we get a break below yesterday's low of day for further downside? The other thing that we might see is a pop and fade. If we pop off of, let me just move this chart over so we can see a little bit better. Right? If we get a pop at market open and we get up into this area here, do we get a pop and fade that we can actually fade this move for further downside there? And again, you'd be, popping and fading and testing really this low that we had from Wednesday. So again, I like the downside look. The question to me is the low of day from yesterday. Does it hold, or do we break that and get further downside opportunities? If we do reclaim, I think the upside, the long trade I'd be looking for today is if we can get above this Tuesday high of day. That's where I'm looking to take a break and retest long above that if that happens. So really on ES, from Tuesday high to yesterday low, probably not that interested other than a pop and fade into this low from Wednesday. Moving to the Dow Jones, I'm going to look at the Dow on a big picture, and then we'll move into the smaller time frame. But looking at the hourly chart on a bigger view, this is a major area that we have around these lows from the last couple of days in the Dow Jones. And if we break that, I think we have a very, very nice short trade to the downside, potentially setting up. Again, you're looking at the low of day from yesterday, you're looking at the low of day from Tuesday, and we are right at that area right now. But if we lose that as a nice little break and retest short to the downside, that could set up a really nice trade. To the upside, we're looking at this little overnight high. If we break the overnight highs, you might get a nice little long trade up into the high of day from yesterday. Again, the Dow Jones gave back a lot yesterday. That was had a big downside move on the Dow Jones yesterday. We bounced a little bit, very much a bearish move. You've kind of tested this area in the overnight, not quite as clean, but again, I am looking for downside. It may not happen, but if we get a nice setup below that low of day from yesterday on the Dow Jones, I think that's a very worthwhile short trade with some nice potential to the downside. Last but not least, on the Russell, similar picture. Not quite as excited about the Russell. I mean, again, we do have this as a major area. If you look at the 4-hour chart, this is the hourly, but if I would go to the 4-hour chart, this is a pretty major area. And if we break that low from yesterday, you break this low from Tuesday, there's a lot of downside potential here. So that's what we're looking for today as well. And again, here you can see it on the 15, it's pretty clean. If we break these lows from Tuesday, break this low from yesterday, there's the downside look that we're looking for. To the upside, there's a potential here if you flip below this structure. Maybe there's a potential long here, long above the overnight highs. But again, I think the downside look is the bigger play, at least at this point. Now, all of this could be somewhat changed because we do have news this morning, and I don't have it pulled up on this screen, but it is, if I can find it here, I think it's non-farm. This morning, 8:30. Non-farm employment, yeah. Non-farm employment and retail sales, average hourly earnings. So there's a big red folder news event at 8:30 this morning, which is in about an hour. So depending on what that does, that could make a couple of changes to the market if we get a big move one way or the other. But again, if we get a big move to the downside, it could set up a pop and fade of that low of day from yesterday across these markets. If we get a big move to the upside, maybe we reclaim that move if it goes to the upside, and we do also get that pop or that break and retest below low of day from yesterday. So to me, it's all about yesterday's lows, and it feels good to have a good game plan again this morning. So it's been a rough and tough week. I've had one winning trade in 16 trades this week, and so definitely looking for some wins. I had talked yesterday at night in my recap about maybe breaking these into like groups of 2 or 3. Still haven't decided if I'm going to do that or if I'm going to take one more trade and see if we can get a win before we break them down further. So anyway, that's the plan for this morning. Thanks for following along. Have a good day, and we'll catch up with you on the next one. Take care, and so long.